This week on Flicker Effect, we've got reviews for Passengers, La La Land, Assassin's Creed, Fences, and more. We also have an Alien Covenant trailer to talk about. Lots to discuss. Let's get started. Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect, episode number 198. We're recording this on Monday, December 26th, 2016. I'm David Lott. Joining me this week is Bobby Jackson.
Hello everyone.
Yasha Wilson.
Hey.
And Michelle Curry.
Hi everybody.
Just a reminder, this podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play Music, and the iHeartRadio app. You can find us by simply searching for Flicker Effect. It's 2 words. You can also find episodes from this podcast on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/Flicker Effect. How's it going, everybody? Merry Christmas. Merry post-Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
How's everyone's
Let me just
holiday?
say, I was so happy to hear the music drop into that beat, David, because you kept running it in the background when we were getting ready to gear up, and it was like having somebody sing the Chili's Baby Back Ribs song, but never actually going to the ribs part. It was like, I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby, just over and over and over again in my head. And it's just like, I kept waiting for the beat to drop, and I knew we were just gearing up to go. So I was so happy when we finally started the show and I could hear the beat drop. So now I'm ready.
All right.
Aww.
I just felt like I had to share that because I thought it was funny, but
Nice. All right.
It was like having an earworm.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
had it stuck in your head and you had to hear the
That
rest
one
of it.
song in your that's stuck in your head, and you just wish that you like, what is it? I just need to hear it. I just need to hear it 50 times, and I'll be good.
Poor Yasha.
You should work out to that at the gym. Just
Oh my god!
I,
I'm not sure how I would handle that.
Christmas is come and gone. This is our last episode of the year.
Yeah.
Our next, we'll probably be recording on New Year's Day, but yeah, it's the last episode of 2016. I don't know about you guys, but I know I watched a lot of holidays movies this weekend. Michelle, I know you did too.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of holidays.
Yeah, I'd have to bring out the list again. There's a bunch.
Yeah, I'm a big Christmas movie fan though, Christmas time. Like I love watching them throughout the month, like really, and like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, like I can just have them running like in background as I do things, or I could sit and focus on them. Like I just like having them going during the holiday season. So yeah, it's nice.
Yasha and I, we were talking about it off air before we started. The one Christmas movie we watched that, don't get me wrong, I don't dislike the movie, but I do feel like I don't have the same opinion as most people on this one. And that's Christmas Vacation. Now I'm getting the look. I mean, don't get me wrong, and you watched it with me. I definitely laugh at parts of the movie. It's funny at times, but overall, I've never been like a huge fan of that movie. Like, I feel like it does have a huge following, and
It does. It has like a little cult following that it has. And I think for some people, certain aspects and little things that pop up throughout the whole movie kind of resonate with them more on a personal level for certain things. Like I've had Christmases just backfire, not as hellaciously as that, but like there's been some funny ones in the history of my life and they've been pretty good. So there's a lot of things I'm like, yep, totally relate to that. You know, like the doorbell, like the grandparents all showing up at the one time and they're all just arguing. Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah.
See, I don't know. I've never had that, and I maybe I missed the boat when it came to watching that as a child or a younger age to actually really get into the movie, because I was trying to watch it the other day and I pretty much fell asleep. I think about halfway through the movie. You know, I was just like, and I laughed at certain parts, but I don't remember ever actually finishing the movie in the past. And a buddy of mine wanted me to watch it because he kept saying, "Oh, it's so funny, and you just got to check it out." He even let me borrow it, and I'm just like, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." And I sat there and I just watched, and there was parts that I chuckled at. And don't get me wrong, like I've liked the Griswolds in previous movies. Like the first one to me is an undeniable classic. Maybe that's because I watched it when I was a young kid, but it's like trying to watch it now. I'm just looking at it. I'm like, no, just not for me. No.
I mean, it's not a great film by any stretch of the imagination, and it's not a great Christmas film even. But like, I don't know. I think just because it just kind of became a tradition in our house to watch it, like it just is kind of what it is for me. Like, I mean, I can quote it front and back. It's really pathetic.
Right.
But like, yeah, it's sad. I admit it. But it just, I don't know. Like for me, it's like it just feels like Christmas when I watch that film. I don't know why. It just kind of does.
Yasha, do you have a go-to Christmas movie, Yasha?
A go-to Christmas movie
That you have to watch every year kind of thing?
Well, I'm going to go with Gremlins. Yeah, for sure. That was a joke. Obviously, it didn't land very well, but hey, like they can't all be winners.
I was hoping you were being honest. Damn it!
Because we were talking about movies last night because we finished all of our movie watching yesterday with Die Hard.
Yeah, which is
as you should.
Right.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, I think of Die Hard. It is a Christmas movie in a way. But it's way.
It's a non-traditional Christmas movie, and that's what we had a whole we had a whole discussion about non-traditional Christmas movies. Die Hard probably being the number one non-traditional Christmas movie. And then I brought up Gremlins, and he kind of looked at me weird. I'm like, the whole thing takes place over Christmas Eve.
And I totally get it, but I don't know. I just for some reason I've never locked into it being as associated with Christmas as something like Die Hard.
Oh, see, I've always looked at Gremlins as like Christmas.
I'm just saying, for me, it never has. So.
Yeah. Oh no, I know. I'm not arguing to the fact of that. I'm just saying, it's like in relation to like Christmas movies that like are off the cuff kind of Christmas movies. Die Hard is definitely one of them. Gremlins to me is another because I mean the original Gremlins, it takes place over Christmas. For God's sakes, they're playing in the tree and they're playing with the Christmas lights. It's a constant reoccurring, almost like theme throughout the entire movie. And so it's like, but as far as like me personally having like a go-to Christmas movie, I would probably go with I'll go with Die Hard. Like I'll watch that. Well, actually, I could watch the original Die Hard, in the middle of July. But so it doesn't make
absolutely.
a difference.
Yeah.
But I just sit there. It's like if it's on, it's like okay, well here, let's see how much is left in this movie. About 40 minutes. All right, looks like I'm going to be 40 minutes late to my event. But so I mean, I dig Die Hard as well. Like that's definitely one of them. But as far as like me thinking like, oh, it's not Christmas until I actually see this movie, I don't think I really have one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the classics, White Christmas. For some reason, and this is kind of it's a non-traditional Christmas movie, but me being St. Louis, I love. Scrooged is one of my favorites.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, I love Scrooged. God damn, I love that movie. Those are kind of mine for me, I guess.
Bobby, do you have one?
Well, I guess in the days back in the day when I did watch them, it was probably my go-to was probably Home Alone, and then Christmas Vacation is probably high on the list as well. But these days, my go-to Christmas movie is catching up on stuff I haven't seen while I'm on break. I typically don't get to watch Christmas movies unless I'm in a setting that it's on and I'm not at home or something like that. During the break, I'm usually just trying to catch up like a madman on anything that I haven't watched, whether it's a movie or if it's a TV show, because I'm still very bitter and upset at the fact that there's so many different movies out right now in December that either are available to watch and could possibly be an Oscar contender, or they're like just in small release, so they're still out there and I could possibly see it, but it's not readily available. So it's kind of pissing me off that there's so many movies right now in December where usually I'm on top of it because I see them when they kind of come out, but it's just like everyone just like backed up a dump truck and said, here's all the movies that might be an Oscar contender, go watch them, and good luck with that. You're trying to see them before you try to make a top 10 list. So I'm still a little bit upset about that.
Yeah, I feel like the last 14 days in December they really cram a lot in. It's ridiculousness. But you saw, David, a movie for Christmas time that you'd never seen before.
Yeah, I saw Elf. I've never seen that.
I'm curious to see, because I never even asked you what you thought of it that night.
Yeah, I just went ahead and bought it digitally. It was $10. My wife's a big fan, and she really wanted me to watch it. And I mean, I liked it. It was almost exactly what I expected. I mean, but it was good. I enjoyed it.
Cool.
I mean, there's not much to say about it beyond that, you know?
Yeah, no, Elf is what it is.
I wouldn't put it way up there on, like, now my pantheon of must-see Christmas movies or something, but, you know, I mean, for me, if I had to go to a movie off the top of my head, I'd probably go with Scrooged. I'm a huge fan of Scrooge as well, but...
My other favorite is Jim Henson's Christmas Carol.
Yeah, that's one I don't know. Like, what year did that come out?
Why would you ask that?
I'll look that up now.
I don't know, but that one, for some reason, I love it. And I think it's because...
I'm thinking like 86 or so. I don't know.
Oh, was it that?
No, it was in the 90s.
I think it was the 90s. It had to be.
But
Really?
Michael Caine's performance as Scrooge is good. I mean, I realize this is
92.
like a Henson, this is a Muppets movie, essentially. But damn, like he's like for me, he's Scrooge, like for sure, like in my head, like always now.
I mean, I've for sure seen the Muppet Christmas Carol, but for whatever reason, maybe because of when it came out or
92.
something, like
Yeah.
I was a freshman in high school then, like maybe, I don't
You're
know.
too old for it.
I felt like it was in that age where I'm like, I'm too old for this, and it just
Yeah.
never had a connection to it.
You were too
I
old.
was too cool for watching Muppets.
It came out in '92.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, cool.
yeah, I guess I'd go with Scrooge.
Yay Christmas movies.
Yeah, Christmas movies. Watched a lot.
Christmas ones and non-traditional
I feel
Christmas
like there was
ones.
another one, though. Well, Polar Express. We watched that.
Oh yeah.
And I think I had seen it from beginning to end. I definitely had seen major chunks of it, but I felt like, too, while we were watching it, there were parts I was like, wow, I don't remember this, don't remember that.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a movie that, as I watched all of it, it is a good film, but like I was telling you off air, Michelle, like I think the thing that always kind of pulled me away from it, I was never a fan of that animation. Just the look
Yeah.
of it always kind of bothered me. But it was a good movie.
It's not
What
one of my
about the,
favorites, but it's a good Christmas movie.
Right.
And again, that's one like I'll put on in the background like while I'm baking something.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like it's just kind of on.
What was
What
that,
about
Yasha?
the Santa Claus?
That's
Anybody
that's
appreciate
another
that
one I never really had like a big draw to, or I know I've seen it, but I don't know.
See, I watched that, and it's not so much the story. Like I thought it was, a little campy and pretty much what you would expect. But there are some lines in that movie that I just thought were absolutely brilliant when it came to delivering, like, I guess, the magic of Christmas or the magic of like Santa Claus
Right.
and whatnot. And it's like, and some of that stuff just sticks with me. Like, some of the movies that, we were just talking about, like Elf and things like that. It's just, something that the writers really did a good job of, exhibiting and, portraying what the magic of Christmas would be.
When I was a kid, the one that I loved was Santa Claus the movie.
Yeah, I loved that
I
one as a kid.
loved
Oh,
that
yeah.
as a child. And a few years ago, I watched it like as a full adult. Like I didn't even watch it, I think, even once or twice, like in my late teens and my 20s, and thought, yeah, it's still a good Christmas movie, whatever. And then I watched it like a few years ago, and I was like, and it's good, I think, in the first half. And then as soon as it cuts to quote unquote present day time
Yeah.
frame New York City,
Yeah.
man, that movie takes a nosedive quick. All of a sudden, you're like, what the fuck are we watching?
I gotta rewatch that one. It's been a long time since I've seen that.
Like, oh god, it just nosedives hard and quick, and it's painful to get through. And like, yeah,
What
but
was it? What was it again?
Santa
Santa
Claus
Claus
the
the
movie.
movie.
It stars
Santa
Dudley
Claus the
Moore,
movie.
and I can never remember the guy who actually is Santa in it. And he's a spectacular Santa. Like he's a quintessential like looking Santa Claus guy, like for sure. But yeah, I used
David
to love that
Huddleston.
movie. Yeah, I used to love that movie when I was a kid. Oh my gosh. Like that movie when I was a kid, it was not Christmas without that movie. But now I'm like, oh
Wow.
Lord, no.
Oh my God, I remember this movie. I haven't seen this
Yeah,
in years.
see?
Oh my God,
See,
I'm looking it up right now, and I'm just like, wow.
memory lane,
Like,
my
I remember it.
friend.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dudley Moore dressed up as an elf and everything. It's like, oh my goodness.
John Lithgow
Wow.
was the bad guy.
John Lithgow. Burgess Meredith is in this. Holy crap.
Yup. Look at that.
I noticed, unless I missed it, I noticed none of you guys mentioned A Christmas Story.
Christmas Story, I don't know. Like, I definitely remember growing up. Christmas Story went through that phase of, I remember back when It's a Wonderful Life was like the big Christmas movie that was played repeatedly on, like, I felt like every fucking channel. And Christmas Story would like play on TBS like once a month, or once that month, or maybe twice or something.
And it was nobody paid attention to. It was
Yeah.
such a like it was such a cult classic. Like it bombed horrifically in the movie theater when it was released.
And then I remember my parents were a fan of it, and I remember watching it and liking it. And I mean, long story short, I like the movie, but it definitely is now completely burned out for me.
Oh yeah.
Like I did not watch it this year. I'm completely fine with that. I mean, I imagine someday I'll watch it again, but I'm just so burned down on it. It's something I need time away.
Yeah. It's I think don't they even start playing it on Thanksgiving, like the day of or the day after?
Yeah, like TBS TNT will play it on Thanksgiving, and then they marathon it basically at 12:01 Christmas Eve morning, and then they run it for 72 hours straight, and it's just oh geez. And it's sad because I used to love that movie when I was a kid, and then as I got older and then people started catching on to it, it really kind of ruined it. And I honestly haven't watched it in the past couple of Christmases.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've had a decent break. I could probably watch it next Christmas. I didn't watch it this year though.
Yeah.
Decent break.
I've had a decent break from it. Cutting the cable
detox.
Cutting the cable cord helps a lot. I mean,
I had no problem staying away from it either since
I was
I'm
gonna say
cable.
it's not even an option for me and hasn't been for a few years. So I think that's kind of helped it, even though I have it on Blu-ray. Like I own it. Like someone gave it to me as a Christmas present one year, and I was like, thanks. And I'm like, need a break. Still need a break. So that was Christmas. What?
So where does everyone fall on The Nightmare Before Christmas?
See, Nightmare Before Christmas, to me, I think of it more as a Halloween film.
Yeah, me too.
I don't really think of it as a Christmas movie. I absolutely love A Nightmare Before Christmas, by the way, for the record. But I never really watch it around Christmas.
I think if anybody knew you for more than 10 minutes, they would not question.
What's that, Kasha?
How many times have you watched it? I've only seen it, I think, once.
You've only ever seen it once?
That's like sacrilegious.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean,
that's one more time than me.
You've never seen it, Bobby?
We've talked about this.
Yeah, I feel like we have, but it's been a while since that came up. I mean, hey, that movie came out at a time. I remember seeing it in the theater. I was a huge Tim Burton fan back then, so that it was like a given I would go see a new Tim Burton movie when I was at that age. And I was also a huge Danny Elfman fan. And so I loved that movie right from the beginning. And that's another movie that I felt like, when it came out in theaters, I mean, it kind of, I don't know how much money it made, but it was kind of, whatever. No one really cared about it. And it definitely started to get like a hot topic following at some point. And now it's huge. Oh, yeah. And I still love it just because now it's mega popular. It doesn't change anything for me. But I love that movie. Absolutely. The music's great. I love stop motion animation. Yeah. Big fan. I just don't think of it as a Christmas movie.
Yeah. But it's a good non-traditional Christmas movie? Edward Scissorhands.
That's a fantastic movie.
Yeah. There you go.
I mean, it's a fantastic movie any time of the year, but because the whole ending is at Christmas time. So it's a really good non-traditional Christmas movie,
Definitely.
I think. Sorry.
And the association with snow and everything like that.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Do you have no desire to see Nightmare, Bobby? I forget when we had this conversation before.
And again, when Michelle just said that, you're making me feel like I need to bring back the "you have seen what" segment because that's another one I haven't seen. So
Edward
and
Scissorhands?
it's on my list.
Oh my god!
What?
When we were still doing "you haven't seen what," it was on my list of things.
Holy.
It gave me a reason to see things, and that one was just when I remember being in the theater. When it came out in the theater and wanting to see it, and just didn't get a chance to see it when it was in theater, and then after that, it just kind of got lost in the ether. And I never got a chance to see it.
I feel like that movie cemented my love for Tim Burton, quite honestly. Like with Beetlejuice, I was like, yeah, Tim Burton, I'm down. And then Edward Scissorhands came out, and I was like, oh.
I mean, he was at the top of his game at that point.
Yeah, no, I feel like that film cemented it for me with Tim. I was like, shoot, Edward Scissorhands.
Well, damn, Bobby, it's only an hour and 15 minutes. That's
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's an hour.
You're talking about Edward or Nightmare?
Box Office Mojo listed as an hour and 16 minutes. So you take into probably some consideration of credits and roll time and stuff. It's probably a little over an hour. So you can bust that out having lunch.
That's super. Wow, I mean, I don't think they make movies that short anymore.
I mean,
which movie is that? Is that Nightmare or
Nightmare?
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. At first, I was like,
yeah, Edward is.
This does make sense.
But Edward's still a good one. You definitely need to roll that one into the old.
Bobby, did you just say you haven't seen Edward Scissorhands? Is that what you just said?
Where has Yasha been?
Yasha's just playing catch up.
I thought we were talking about. I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, and I knew that you said Edward Scissorhands, but I didn't realize that, Bobby, you actually said that you didn't see Edward Scissorhands. Really?
Yeah, I did say that.
He's catching up now.
Well,
all right.
A little slow.
We have to bring back that segment to get you to watch that movie, and we'll do it. So.
Oh, that's what it takes. That's happening.
I know. I'll line them up. I'll do Edward Scissorhands. I'll do Nightmare Before Christmas, and I'll do Scrooge.
Man, Scrooge.
Wait, what? You haven't seen Scrooge?
I was waiting for that other shoe to drop.
Yes.
Dude.
Wow.
Bobby. My word. Oh, Bobby.
All right. Well,
okay. We've beaten Christmas into a bloody pulp now.
Let's move on to some movies we've got to talk about.
Yeah.
A big release this weekend was Passengers. Michelle, you've been waiting for this one for a while. I've been pretty excited about it. So is my wife. You guys saw it together. I did not see this, but
I was excited, and I say I'm excited for it. I knew going into this film, this is not like a huge contender for like Oscars or anything like that. Like, it was just, this was going to be kind of, I don't want to say lighthearted or fun, but it was just kind of going to be the story about two people in outer space that are thrown into a situation they have to deal with, basically. But I mean, the big thing I think was just, it was kind of like, I could use something where I don't have to really think about major plot points or really kind of get too heavily involved with this film. And I mean, it's got pretty people in it. It's got Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence. Like, it's just, it's lovely to look at visually for 2 hours. It's great. It's, quick plot point would be that it's, these people signed up for whatever reason to go live on a different planet, and they travel across the universe to do it, and it takes 120 years to make the journey. So they are suspended in I can't think of it now. Hypersleep, yeah, basically.
I don't know how that movie in particular words it.
How they worded it. Anyways, so, and then at some point, an event happens and systems fail, and then Chris Pratt's pod opens up, and then he's awake. And then basically from that point on, a series of malfunctions going on with the spaceship, and more things go awry, and, so forth and so on. The story progresses from there. It was an okay movie. It was kind of what I needed. I think I needed something that wasn't going to be too heavily emotionally drawn into, or really feel like it made me like a big thinker kind of film. It was fine. Is it a good movie? Not really, but it's not, I can't say it's a bad movie at the same time. I do have some issues with it that I take as the film progresses. It's like, it starts out kind of on one level and sending out this kind of a note and a message, and then as soon as all the shit hits the fan, they do this thing where in the story plot line, the main characters like went from being really pretty intelligent people, really like, can do, and we're gonna figure things out, and we're gonna, we're definitely levels above the average Joe, to suddenly being Homer Simpson almost. Like, they lose their minds and all intelligence goes out the effing window. And I'm like, you just lost all credibility for the characters you've written in this story. And that drove me insane. Like, I hate when that happens in films. I'm like, what just happened to the two people that were having conversations about the fucking cosmos and like life and this and that? And you're like, where did that go? And then they're like, oh, the screw goes here. Like, what the hell? Like, it's just one of those things for me. Like, it makes me insane when they do that. Like, oh, well, we'll make the world, fall to shit, and their IQ is going to drop with it, but they're going to have to figure out how to make it all work out. Really? Are you kidding me with this? So yeah, that was kind of my big issue with the film, honestly. I'm sure there's a lot of other things you can really take issues with, but that was, for me, my biggest one was just the loss of credibility for the characters they had. That kind of sucked. Otherwise, it's a very pretty picture, and it's definitely got some cool ideas. Like, it's definitely cool visualizations for like a possibility of how the future will unfold, and technology, and that's kind of cool to look at and see. So yeah, I mean, I would say it's a great date night rental on the couch kind of movie.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yasha, you also saw it?
Wow, I mean, what do I say that Michelle hasn't already said? Like, she really hit it on the button there.
Sorry.
I think I remember in one of the shows I said, I was interested in seeing this movie, but it looks like the type of film that they were just waiting for two young hot celebrities to be big enough to do this movie. And they're like, oh, hey, this movie's sitting on the shelf. Let's go ahead and Chris Pratt's really hot and Jennifer Lawrence is really hot. Let's put them in this movie. And not just physically hot, but like, they're the big ticket items right now. This movie will sell now. And she's absolutely right. It was just okay. It was easy to watch. The plot points were there. It was, it was kind of predictable to the sense to the effect of watching it. They did seem to dumb down really quickly all of a sudden. And it was almost humorous to watch them get slow and then get really, really bright again. In my opinion, like towards the end, the closer it got to the end of the movie, all of a sudden they were just thrust into these impossible situations, and Chris Pratt had to go about his, business, and they had to work together. And it was kind of ridiculous, but it was very easy to watch. It's a great date movie if you want to go on a date with somebody, either in the theater or on the couch. More than likely, it'll probably be on the couch. It wasn't super deep, but it was fun. Per se, it wasn't great, but it was okay. Special effects were really cool. That was pretty much about it. Like, I mean, it wasn't super like, wow, man, you gotta check out this movie, Passengers. It's like watching, Castaway, but with Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt. No, it's nothing like that. It's it's just okay, almost to the predictability of the dialogue when they're talking to each other in some of the most dramatic scenes. But it was still entertaining, I'll say. I still did enjoy it.
Yeah.
Cool. Bobby, you were going to see it. I guess you didn't. Did you get a chance to check it out or not?
No, I didn't get a chance to check it out, but I should be watching it sometime this week.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll be waiting for video. So I'm good. I think I'm good.
You're good.
That was really my plan all along, honestly, and nothing I've seen or hearing from you guys or any reviews have been like, you know what, actually I will go see this. I'm like, you know what, I think I'm all right.
It's a really nice kind of no-brainer movie. Like, you kind of know it's gonna you can kind of predict it, and which is fine. Like, it's one of those movies you're like, I just need a movie where I just don't really have to like get myself too involved and too emotionally, mentally, like, I just need something on that's pretty that'll keep me entertained.
Right.
And that's what it is.
Cool.
Yeah, you really don't have to think to enjoy this movie. Like, it's really just kind of like, it's a popcorn film, like, for the most part.
Right.
Just you go in there and you just watch, and you're just kind of like, oh, all right, cool. Yeah, all right, yeah, this is gonna happen next, and it's like, oh yeah, there it is, and you just kind of keep moving, and it's chill.
Cool. Another movie that a couple of us have seen this weekend is La La Land. Bobby and I both saw this film. It's been getting a lot of recognition critically. It's been showing up on a lot of top 10 lists. I know I've been looking forward to this for a while. It's from director Damien Chazelle, who previously directed Whiplash, and I was a huge fan of that movie. So yeah, I've been looking forward to this quite a bit. But yeah, Bobby, you saw this, a couple days ago?
Yeah, I think it was. Let's see. Today is Monday, so I think I saw this on, I want to say Saturday.
Cool.
So yeah, it was a couple days ago.
What'd you think?
I was hoping you'd go first.
I can go first if you like.
Yeah.
Wow, Bobby.
Oh my gosh, this is like unprecedented.
Yeah,
right now.
you sure you don't want to talk?
No, I can talk. It's just that I'm really more curious about your thoughts in this. I'll go.
No, it's fine. I can go, man.
No, I like this. Let's do this.
Because I know you. I at least think you are a musical type of person. So, as far as movies are concerned, so I was really curious as to your take from a person that I wouldn't say goes out of their way to see musicals, but probably enjoys them on a level that most people don't typically go see musicals for. So I was more curious about your standpoint. So that's kind of why I wanted you to go first. But
okay, I will go first. So yeah,
right.
I saw La La Land earlier in the week, and yeah, as I just said, I've been looking forward to it for a while because I was a huge fan of Whiplash, and it just looked good. All the trailers look great. I like Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. Blanking on his name for a second there. Yeah, I had my hopes up pretty high, and I gotta say it met them pretty well. I loved the movie. I was a big fan of it. It is definitely trying to kind of do a modern take on a era of Hollywood films, and I think it pulls it off really well. I think the casting of those two works out really well too when you're trying to create this kind of like Hollywood on-screen couple, like what a Bogart Bacall kind of thing. Those two actors, you believe them. They have really great chemistry. With that said, I mean, I think that is the positive of casting those two in a movie, that when it comes to their singing, they're not great singers. I'm going to say that right off the bat. I think Emma Stone is a better singer than Ryan Gosling is. But, even she's not a stellar singer. But at the same time, I still kind of couldn't imagine any other couple cast in those roles.
Right.
I mean, afterwards, my wife and I were talking about this very thing, and she brought up an actress she could see in that spot, because I was saying, like, especially Emma Stone, like, she's really perfect in the part.
Right.
And the only other actress though that she brought up that I could see is probably like an Anna Kendrick, like
right.
who is an amazing singer, but also is kind of has that cute, like adorably hot kind of, I don't know, like look and everything for that role. I could see her in it, but I don't know who you'd put opposite her other than, I don't know. So Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone in the end work, even if their singing isn't amazing. But overall, I still love the movie. The another negative I'll bring up too is the mix. I noticed right off the bat, like when the movie started in the opening number, I almost felt like I had a hard time understanding the lyrics, and it actually kind of continued through most of the movie. So part of me was like, oh, maybe it's the mix in the movie theater, the sound system in here. I've listened to the soundtrack on Spotify since then, probably a few times, and it sounds about the same. It just seems like the vocals are a little low compared to the instrumentation than I would expect. So there's times where I'm like, what are they saying here, saying there? So, I mean, that's another kind of minor, kind of for me, relatively minor kind of negative about the movie. But overall, I was a huge fan of La La Land. It had an ending that really, really worked for me a lot. I loved the way it ended. I really enjoyed it. So there you go, Bobby. That's my take on La La Land without any spoilers or anything.
All right, so I guess it's up to me. Going into it, I've been looking forward to seeing the movie more so from the point of view of hearing how wonderful it was from everyone and how many different awards it seems to be taking. And so the curiosity factor was there. Musicals, they work for me on a lot of different levels, but they're still not something I would say I'm a huge fan of, which isn't to say that I don't like them. It's more of a matter of I'll go see it if it seems like it's interesting enough to me, because obviously music is so subjective that it can pull you right out of the film if you're not a fan of the music that they're singing. I mean, I wouldn't blame someone if they didn't want to go watch Hamilton if they got a taste of it and wasn't a fan of the music itself, because that's pretty much what you're going for, is to experience is that music and seeing it performed live. And there's people who haven't even seen it performed live, but will just listen to the soundtrack. So obviously you have to kind of be able to get into the music. And so that's always the risk you run. And when you're doing a musical, and for me, I guess I haven't really, ran into any musicals across the board that I could say were bad or terrible, just because if I do see them, it's ones that people are talking about and usually have a good vibe about. So I will probably fall in line to a certain extent. When I went to go see La La Land, I kind of had that feeling of, all right, let's see if this movie can be as good as everyone is saying, with my arms sort of folded and like, all right, movie, prove to me that you're really this good. And I have to say that after I came out of it, I was pretty happy, and more happy than I thought I would be coming out of that movie. It was more than what I was expecting it to be. And it was something that I guess I looked at from two different ways when I came out of it. It was there was the one version of me that was sort of looking at it in awe of the technical expertise that went into it, because there's so many different shot compositions that are used in this, between like you have push-ins and there's pull-outs and then there's wide frames and there's so many tracking shots, and it's like how they were able to put all this together, knowing that during some of these different things that are going on, there's a performance being done. So there's dancing and there's singing. So you have to get the timing just right. And then the camera's working in sync with all these different things. So from that point of view, I was just pretty astounded at everything that it must have taken to go into being able to pull it off in such a fashion on the budget that they had for it. So that in and of itself was impressive to me. The other part of it was just the story itself. It really, I feel like you will get more out of this movie if you're at least familiar with Los Angeles or the industry of entertainment. But I think it's also a message that speaks to anyone that has a dream of something that they really want to do and what it takes to get there. And so I just felt like it really connected on that level as well, on both of those levels of just having that aspect of knowing there's something you want to do and can you make it, and at what cost will it take for you to get there, along with just the fact of this being kind of as they kind of say, a love letter to LA, because there's so many locations and places within there that you recognize, and there's callbacks to other musicals or films in general, and it just all plays well together. And it feels like it's a movie that I don't know if I'll necessarily go see it in the theater again, but I feel like I'll see it a few more times just to kind of unpack it all, because there was a lot in there between just the music and some of the scenes that were going on and the ending. To me, there's kind of like two endings, and in a way that's done really, really well. So there's a lot that I really want to go back and experience again and see and pull more out of the scenes, and just look at how they may have done this, or how this was kind of shot and how this was sort of set up. There's just a lot to it, and I feel like I need to see it a few more times to really be able to get it all. But on my first experience, I really loved it.
Awesome. And yeah, I would agree with you too. I definitely want to see it a few more times. If it weren't for the fact that there's a million other movies I want to see in the theater, I would certainly go see it in the theater again. But will I? I don't know. But I'll definitely be watching it again in some form, and probably many times after that. So, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
That's really cool to hear, because I was interested and I was indifferent about going to see it, because musicals can be a real hit or miss for me personally. And hearing such rave reviews from people that I trust and their opinions that I really value, yeah, I'll definitely check it out now.
I think you'll get the same thing out of it that I kind of got out of it, especially because me and Yasha, we shared the same major, and it speaks a lot to that in terms of entertainment and the pitfalls and the grind of it. And he'll recognize a lot of that from what's being put forth in the film. And I forgot to mention too that Damien Chazelle, he did another movie that I previously put on my top 10 list, really high, if I'm not mistaken, which was as soon as I said it, of course, the name went out of my head. But
other than Whiplash?
Yes, Whiplash. No, okay. That's the only other one that I've seen of his. And that movie I raved about for that year. So him doing this is, for me, is 2 for 2 in terms of what I've seen him do, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because I loved Whiplash as well. I was kind of curious to see what was going to come out of him after Whiplash. And this is, even though it's very musical, obviously, just like Whiplash was, it's also very different after that. That's really the only similarity between the two. But
yeah,
now I'll definitely be curious to see where he goes from here. And he has said he will always work with the composer he worked with on both of those films, Justin Hurwitz. So it doesn't sound like he hopes to work with any other composers. They seem like they're going to be a team for a while. And I mean, I want to be clear too, and I kind of complain about the singing of Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. I mean, I wouldn't say they're bad singers. Like one friend asked me, when I was talking to him about, their singing ability in it, they were like, "Oh, was it Russell Crowe and Les Mis bad?" And I'm like, no, it was not. Like, I mean, they can hold their own. It's just obvious that they're not trained singers. They don't have those kind of voices. And with that said, the interesting thing is that every other singer that appears in this movie sounds pretty much like that as well. Like
really?
In the opening number, the second number in the film, pretty much everyone singing in it kind of has that voice. They don't have like a trained singing voice. So it kind of works, and it kind of seems like that's what they're going for, either because they want to kind of have everybody at the level of their two stars, or
they're setting a tone for the film. Like, it's just average people who
Right.
can carry a note, and this is their life, and they're singing about it.
Yeah.
As if you're a
That's
person on
what
the street.
And that's what I'm kind of thinking too. So in a way it
That's
works.
actually kind of
but-
cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
The way I kind of thought of it, their singing, was that it was serviceable. It never took me out of the movie in terms of what they were going for, but you also could tell, at least the way I sort of experienced it, it was that there was nothing written that was out of their range, and there wasn't like these big belt out, high note singing type
Right, exactly.
songs in it. So it was all very much something that anyone that I guess has at least a halfway decent voice could be able to pull off.
But yeah, very good film. Highly recommend it. It's in theaters now. Yeah, you talking about like the technical aspects of the movie too, like the opening number. I mean, it's not a spoiler to point out like they're shooting this thing on an overpass in the middle of the day, I assume, in Los Angeles, and I'm like, how the fuck did they pull that off?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys shut this whole like road down for the day, like I don't know, it was impressive.
Yeah,
So
it is.
anyway,
Well, it's nice to see that the movie's doing well and it keeps getting these rave reviews.
Yeah.
yeah, cool. So
And it's not even open wide yet, is it? Or is it?
Nah.
not
mostly
very
wide.
wide. I mean, it's here in Orlando, so it's
It's wider than
wider than a lot of movies.
and it's been since it was initially first released in the small release. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'll bring up really quick. It looks like it's on 734 screens, so
Yeah, so not wide,
not
but
wide. It's not in the thousands yet.
But it's gonna
Right.
get this thing's gonna get nominated so crazy. It's gonna be nuts. I know
Yeah.
it. I know it.
All right, well,
Who else saw what?
moving on. Another new release was Assassin's Creed, and Yasha, you got a chance to see that?
I did. I was really excited to see this because I like Michael Fassbender. Marion Cotillard is good. Jeremy Irons is exciting. Brendan Gleeson. I like all these actors that they had in this movie. I did not really like this movie. Like, I was so hyped to see this. Like, I thought it was going to be so cool. And I played the video game enough to be familiar with it. Like, I kind of had the idea. I got the gist of it. I went in there watching this movie, and I found myself like 20 minutes into this movie. I was like, wait, what is this about again? And I had to try and track my thoughts to like what the movie like was actually trying to convey across and what they were getting like. And I had that thought more than once while I was watching it. I just kept getting like, what the fuck is this movie about? Like, what are they trying to do? And it's like, don't get me wrong, the special effects were cool. The fight scenes were cool when they got to them. But overall, I mean, I found the acting and the writing and the dialogue, very subpar. It really didn't hold much weight, and I kept getting bored. Like, I was like, "What? I'm confused. What's happening now? What's happening next? Okay, we're going here now. All right, cool." I was so not impressed by this movie. I was really, really bummed that it was, and it seems like they're just trying so hard to set up this amazing franchise. And looking at these numbers that this movie did, it's not gonna make it. Like, it's just not gonna get there. Like, it's just not.
Oh, man.
Like, I mean, I know we talk about box office at the end, but I just have to throw this out there. David. Like, the movie cost, according to Box Office Mojo, $125 million to make. So far domestically, it's made $22 million in what should have been, what should have been the biggest opening weekend for them, because it was the first weekend that they were out, and it was a long weekend too. It was a holiday weekend. Foreign, it's only made 14. So total, it's made about $36 million worldwide. There's no way that they're going to come back from that in the next couple of weeks and continue this franchise, because it's very clearly they tried to set up for a franchise. And I feel bad for Michael Fassbender, because I think he deserves another franchise, especially since he was really good in X-Men, and he's a fantastic actor. And I really enjoy watching him work. Like, he's really cool. Like, I mean, he's an amazing talent. But I mean, that being said, he's not going to, struggle for roles. I think he's going to do just fine with that. He's got Covenant coming out and some movie called Waitlist. But getting back to this movie, it dragged, and it's like it had no real depth. And it's like you're trying to get attached to some of these characters, and there is just no getting attached to them. And I just don't think that it really went the direction that they wanted it to. And that's unfortunate. Like, because I think they could have really done a good job with this, but for whatever reason, it didn't land with me. And from the look of the numbers, it didn't land with the rest of the country. And that's a damn shame.
I mean, I would say in terms of marketing, it doesn't seem like there's been much of a push on it. Like, I mean, as we said earlier, I'm a cord cutter, so I don't watch a lot of TV commercials, so I don't know how many like ads there are out there for it, but I feel like there's not a lot of buzz surrounding its release at all. It was almost like, oh yeah, Assassin's Creed comes out this weekend. So I don't know.
Well, I feel like they had for a while there, you were seeing trailers and you were seeing posters, and it seemed like it was getting a little bit of a push, maybe just in the theaters, because I don't really watch too much TV. Well, when I do watch TV, I watch recorded television, so I fly through the commercials, so I may not see an Assassin's Creed commercial. But, just even still, like, watching it, like, it just wasn't impressive. Like, I really was kind of, like, taken back to the point where it's like, this is... Like, I literally had to ask myself at one point, I was like, wait, what was this about again? Oh, yeah, they're trying to do this? Yeah, all right, cool. Like, it's just like, that doesn't interest me at all. So, right. But, yeah, so it's unfortunate because I think that it would have been nice for them to all get a kind of a franchise out of this, but it's just not going to.
That's a bummer. Moving on to another new release. Bobby, you saw Fences?
Indeed, I did. It opened officially on Christmas Day, but I saw it on Christmas Eve. And it was in a decent-sized theater. And my theater time, I think I went around 8:30, and it was pretty full. I was actually surprised at how many people were in the theater at that time, considering it was Christmas Eve. I was like, either everybody's done shopping or they just wanted to take a quick break or something. But the movie, it stars Denzel Washington, directed by Denzel Washington, and it's based on a play that's by August Wilson, which Denzel Washington was also in the play as well. And Viola Davis is in it too. And this movie, it honestly felt kind of like you could see that it was a play when you're watching it, because there aren't too many different locations that the movie takes place in. And the dialogue, it's very heavy in dialogue. In fact, I remember when it was like maybe 20 minutes into the film, and it seemed like once you get Denzel Washington in the beginning and he's talking, I honestly felt like he didn't take a breath for about 20 minutes. Like his dialogue just went straight, and it was like, whoa, like it was almost hard to process everything that was being said, because it was just boom, 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 boom. And it wasn't like letting the scene sort of breathe. It was just there. And so it was hard at first to try and get into that rhythm. But then once I kind of fell into it, and the movie does kind of take a breath and breathe a little bit, and you kind of get more involved with this character and everything that's going on. It was a very solid movie. It's one that I could see where the movie itself is decent, but the performances in it rise above the film itself, if that kind of makes any sense.
Yeah.
But so it was like you really mesmerized and entranced by the performances of Denzel and Viola Davis in this. They're just two powerhouses acting off of one another, and it's really remarkable to see. And I could absolutely see Viola Davis getting a nomination, Oscar nomination for her portrayal in this film. It's very, very good and worth seeing just for her performance alone. And Denzel, he plays such a different character in this, because the character he plays is his name is Troy Maxon, and he's kind of a bitter man who's not had a good time in life in terms of what he's been dealt as a head. He was a very good baseball player, but he probably came in terms of integration of African Americans into baseball, came a little bit after his time, after his prime, and had he been a little bit younger, he probably would have been something. But that has colored his life and made him cynical and bitter, and even to the point to where his own son, he treats him with a level of almost just something that he has to take care of, as opposed to someone that he truly loves. And it comes across within the character. So it's something I haven't really seen Denzel do before. And he does it in a way that's believable, and it feels and comes across in waves of like, you hate him at times, and then at times you understand where he's coming from. And it's pretty incredible. And I would definitely suggest seeing it if you are in that mood, from the exact opposite of the way Michelle felt going into Passengers. If you want to have something to care about and can emotionally handle it, then Fences is something you should probably check out.
You know, it's funny you say that, Bobby, because I actually heard somebody describe it the same way as like, don't get attached to Denzel Washington because he is not like any other character that you've played in the movie, that you've seen him do in other movies. You really walk out there kind of hating him. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, right on.
Yeah, he's a bit of a bastard.
Yeah, I have to say, this is one that I really wanted to see, actually, when I heard that they were turning this play into a film. And then when they said that Denzel was going to be in it, because he was in it most recently on Broadway, I was like, yeah, sweet, awesome. It's going to be good. You're going to get quality acting. Like, there's just no question about that, I think, when I heard about this. And then they released that Viola Davis was in it. I was like, oh yeah, this, just to go see a story unfold with really solid performances, I'm always down for that kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to seeing this one. Hopefully I'm going to see this one this week, actually.
Yeah, the performances are definitely there for sure. I
want to see it.
Well, another new release, yet another over the holiday weekend, was Sing. And Yasha, you saw that one. Yes,
I had my girlfriend go with me, so it didn't look weird.
That's what I was laughing about, because I was like, you always talk about not wanting to go see the kids' film, so I was like, how did he end up seeing Sing?
That's Let's right. See. I had my beard with me. She went with me, and totally went to go see this. Actually, she mentioned to me that she was interested in seeing this movie, and I jumped on the opportunity to go see this movie just so I can go see and review a kids' movie. That is right. So we went and saw Sing.
Yeah, why not?
And we loved it. It was an adorable story. It was really funny, very, very sweet. Much funnier than what I expected it to be and how I expected it to be. But at least I laughed at more parts than I thought I was going to. And it was fun, man. It was such a fun movie. Like, it is a total advertisement for all these musicians that, lent their music to this movie. But man, did they do a good job. We actually had a full-on conversation about that as to, like, I wonder how much the studio had to pay for the rights to use some of these songs, because like Taylor Swift is very prominently showcased in this film, and she doesn't do anything for free. Like, she charges everybody for everything when it comes to her likeness, her song, her talent, or anything. So, but it's like, and Shannon, my girlfriend, actually came up with, she's like, well, maybe they didn't have to pay that much because they benefit off of having their stuff shown. And I was like, that's true. When they do have this stuff shown, their downloads go up quite a bit. So it's almost like an hour and a half of just commercial for them with how much singing that they did. But Matthew McConaughey was in it, Reese Witherspoon, Seth MacFarlane, Scarlett Johansson, John C. Reilly, Taron Egerton, Tori Kelly was fantastic. She played one of the main singers. Jennifer Saunders, Jennifer Hudson. These are all just raw, talented people, and some of the best comic talent that we have out there now, in my opinion. And the movie, it just played to it. It was such a fun movie. Like, it really, really was. It was just funny. You just kind of get all goofy and like, oh, you're rooting for what's going to happen because you know what's going to happen, but you still just enjoyed the hell out of it. And I enjoyed it. It was funny.
It looks like a really cute family movie. I mean, and it definitely plays to what's happening, in popular television right now, which is the reality music TV show kind of thing. And so I think it's very relatable. And I think, you know, sometimes kids, depending on how they, you know, what you have, some kids are going to get into those shows and some are not. But I think to put it in this kind of format, I think is something that they're going to be like, ooh, well, mom and dad, you know, stay up and watch those shows. And maybe I'll, you know, I think that they really like it. I think it looks really cute.
There were some really funny parts and some very sweet parts. Michelle, I think you'd love this. Like we talk about, you know, some of the goofy things that, you know, we all watch and stuff. And this is definitely up there. It's very, very, it's much funnier than what you expect. And it does a really good job of it. Like I enjoyed it.
Cool. All right. Well, moving away from films, the mini movies that came out over the holidays, to a new Netflix original series, The OA. Michelle, you, I think, binge watched this over a couple days or a day or what?
I mean, I knocked this out in under 24.
Nice. All right.
I was impressed in myself.
It's like 8 episodes, but they're longer than an hour.
Yeah,
right?
It's 8 episodes, but and I thought I was going into it thinking they were going to be, you know, 55 minutes, and some of them ran longer, like an hour and 20. I think actually 1 or 2 of them. I mean, like they're long. They weren't nothing to scoff at for sure. But yeah, there's only 8 episodes, and it came out on the Friday before it came out on the Rogue One weekend. So basically, that was to keep me off of social media and to keep me, you know, like bide my time until we could see Rogue One the Saturday night. So Friday night, I watched the first 4 episodes, and Saturday morning, I watched the last 4 episodes. And I don't know, it's different. And I think what was frustrating with this one is that it some of the initial press, and well, first of all, really they didn't throw out a whole lot of press with this Netflix. They kind of announced it at the beginning of the week of its release, but it was quickly getting compared to like Stranger Things kind of stuff, and I was like, well, that's an interesting comparison. Like Stranger Things is kind of a hard thing to compare against. And I mean, the only thing I can tell you as far as synopsis for this is there's this woman who has been missing for 7 or 9 years. I can't remember now. My brain's gone. She's been missing. And she turns up, and her parents, you know, go to pick her up from the hospital to confirm that it's her. And they find out, 1, she's alive, but 2, like, she can see because apparently she was blind. And I know this sounds like a big spoiler, but it's not. Like, they even have this all in all the trailers. If you watch for this, I'm not like giving away anything major. Really, it's the whole like, how does she become not blind? How does she now see? How does this whole thing happen? Why was she gone? Where did she go for 7, 9 years? You know, what's that story? And that's really the whole premise for the show. Well, maybe I shouldn't say the whole premise of the show. So, and I really can't talk about very much else about the show. It really, I will say that it's kind of a slow burn at first. That first episode, you're kind of like, okay, why do I care? Okay, like this really needs to move into, it just doesn't move very quickly into like, WTF happened to you. And then the first episode was kind of long. It literally right around like 57 minutes into it, all of a sudden the story, like the way the story is being told completely shifts, and it's told from a different way. And then you see different things kind of unravel, and you're like, oh, I thought I was going to get a different story at this point. And you don't. You get a completely different story at this point. And you're like, what the hell just happened? And then I was like, that's when I kind of got, so I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm curious to see what happened. Not because I was not thinking this was the way the story was going to start going, or at least was going to jump off from. And then it's like every episode kind of ebbs and flows. It's kind of like, you're like, okay, like it's like this, the episode will start out really strong. You're like, yeah. And then it kind of like mellows back out again. And then right at the end, it starts picking back up. And then it's that whole moment at the end of an episode where you're like, damn it, do I have time for another one? Yeah, fucking, I got time for another one. And you watch the next one. 'Cause you're like, I need to know what this answer is. I need to know, when am I going to get this answer? And so you're constantly getting little answers to little things, but you never get a big answer to the big question. And I'll say, like, even at the very last episode, just when you're kind of like, you know, you're feeling one way about the way the show's going, and then you're kind of torn, like, is this what's happening? Is that what's happening? I don't know. And you're really kind of mixed up, and you're like, oh my God, are we not going to get an answer? And they're like, oh, we're going to get an answer. And then you're like, oh, we're not going to get an answer. Oh, we're going to get an answer. Oh, we're not. And so they really did well, I think, with playing with your mental ability of what you think the storyline's going to be and how it's going to totally unfold. And then at the end, you're still questioning, like, well, wait, your perception of reality of everything is kind of different and changed. And you're like, it could be anything. So, and I know this all just sounds like a bunch of gibberish to you guys. You're like, Michelle is talking crazy stuff. And I just can't really say much more because it really gives away. It gets really spoilery. I will say the woman who stars in it, and I wish I had this up on my pad because I wasn't paying attention, if in the lead is spectacular. The people that are surround her through most of the series, the actors and actresses, they're spectacular. They're really good. They're young. They're very young. Not very young. They're not like Stranger Things young, but they're young actors and actresses for the most part.
Is it Britt Marling, or does he play? What's the character's name? Prairie.
Her name is Prairie. Yeah.
Okay. Britt Marling is the person you're thinking of.
She's good. Like, she's really good, and she portrays this character that you could spin on a dime as to, like, love her, not love her, not love her, and you're trying to understand, like, why am I so mixed on this person? Like, because you can never get a good read on her, and that's what's amazing is the way she perceives or portrays this person who's gone through these events. Is you can never get a true reading on her, and that's what her performance is really good. But a Phyllis, what's her name? Phyllis. She plays Sadness in Inside Out, and I can't think of her last name now. Anyways, and so she's in it, and she's quite spectacular, too. It was a surprise, actually, to see her. She was the one that was in The Office. Mm-hmm. I can't think of the actress's name.
Smith.
Phyllis Smith. She was good. I mean, I think performance-wise, it was great. Yeah. I would say check it out. But I would say check it out, but don't go under this, because I feel like I said there's a lot of people that are kind of like, oh, it's Stranger Things kind of weird stuff. Yes and no, but do not in any capacity begin to compare it to Stranger Things. Like, that's just not, like, if you're going into it with that is you're going in for completely, you're going to be very not happy very quickly. So I would say check it out. It's a little bit of a slow burn, but once you kind of get in, you're in. You because you got to know. You have to know where it all goes. So.
Cool.
Yeah. Sorry. I know that was a bunch of gibbery.
I've only ever heard one or two other opinions about it this week. One radio show I listened to in town, someone on it, she was watched the whole season. It sounds like she was really into it until it ended, and then she seemed very like, wait, now I don't know that I like this, because I guess she didn't like the way the season ended.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm hearing that kind of tone, kind of opinion around, so I'm definitely curious to watch it. I'll definitely be watching it, after I do my catch up on films. In other words, after probably around the first week of January, then I'll probably go and check this out, but not until then. But I'll definitely be checking it out.
Yeah, I mean, it ends on a note, and you're kind of like, huh. And I really didn't know what to think of it, especially in the first day or two after I finished it. But I think now I've kind of sat on it for 2 weeks, and I can honestly say, no, I enjoyed it. I liked the way they ended it, because it does leave you going. You can definitely go do another season easily, and still have more questions to things, and they can create more questions to the storyline and do different things and go different routes with it. So, but yeah, when it ends, I don't want to be like, oh, you feel gutted, but you're just kind of like, you're at a loss, because you're just like, what? It kind of leaves you a little empty in a way. So I will say that kind of be prepared to kind of feel uneasy at the end, because you're like, I don't know how to feel. And I think that's the whole point, is you're trying to make you feel like you don't know how you feel.
Right.
And they do a really good job of that. And again, like, this is me 2 weeks later really digesting it and had time to. So I feel like I've got a better perspective now. But yeah, if you'd asked me right after watching this, I would have been like, hell, I don't know what to tell you.
Right. Cool. All right. Well, real quick, we got box office numbers and then a couple trailers to talk about. Moving on to the box office, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, in its second week of release, was again at number 1 with a $64.3 million take over the 3-day weekend. Sing, new release that we just talked about, at number 2 with $35.2 35.3. Passengers at number 3 with 14.8. Why Him at number 4 with 11. And Assassin's Creed at number 5 with a little over 10 million. So yeah, that's our box office numbers for this week. And a couple trailers to talk about. The first one, I'm going to bring it up, but I don't even know if it's worth even going around the table to ask you guys what you thought. And that's the Blade Runner 2049 teaser. I'm just going to more bring it up that, hey, it's out there. I mean, yeah, it's not like you're seeing much. I can't imagine, and you guys can please correct me if I'm wrong, that anybody here watched this and went, holy shit, now I've got to see this movie. Like, you know, it's just, it's more for people who are already a fan of Blade Runner to get excited about it. And I am a fan of Blade Runner, so I'm looking forward to this. But, there's not much here. This is truly a teaser trailer. There's not a lot of substance to work with. When is that movie coming out, actually? I don't even know.
October 6th, 2017.
Boom! Man, right off the top of your head.
Ready to go, Michelle.
Yeah.
Killing it with the number.
And you still haven't seen Blade Runner, right, Bobby?
That is correct.
That's what I thought.
I have not seen it yet.
Cool. Add that to the you haven't seen what list.
Yeah.
It's on there for sure. It's high on the list, actually.
I concur with you on that, by the way.
What?
No, I was just saying I agree with David on his analysis of that teaser. Okay. Like, I'm saying I agree. Like, that's basically, it was like, oh, yeah, this is happening. Oh, sweet. Cool. Oh, Harrison's in it? Cool. Ryan Gosling's in it? Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, nothing against the teaser. Teaser's cool.
Like, and that's it.
But there's not much to get excited about from it.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised you haven't seen it, Bobby, just because, like you mentioned earlier, we did Sarah Major, and one of the classes that we took, you know, they talk an awful lot about Blade Runner with the sci-fi and the lighting and everything like that for that movie.
Yeah, it's been talked about in a lot of different circles for a lot of different reasons. I don't know. It's just one of those movies where I think I remember it being out, but I don't know what it was. It just didn't grab me when it was out, and it just was one of those things where once it was all on video or whatever, it became a cult classic, and I just never gravitated back towards it because I never heard anyone really talk about it in the way of like it was mind-blowingly good and it's like the next best thing since Star Wars, or everybody just seemed like they really enjoyed it and it was a cult classic thing. So I never felt too compelled to jump into it beyond just the fact that it was a cult classic.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I feel like a lot of people like it, and I would say myself included. I more enjoy it almost for the atmosphere of it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've said this on here before, and we've had this same exact conversation. I mean, I feel like, you know, a lot of people, if you've never seen Blade Runner and you hear all the hype about it and you go watch it, I would think the majority of those people would be like, oh, really? This? Like, come on. Like, because it's not a mind-blowing movie, but the atmosphere of it, I dig. And I think you'll like it, Bobby. But
Yeah, I think so, too, Bobby. I mean, if you look at it from the year that it was released to what they were talking about and how I feel like really ahead of its time in the sci-fi world, you know, it's like came out in 82. Some of the stuff that they were kind of like addressing and talking about, and, you know, almost like the subculture part of it, where it's like everybody was more just one race opposed to like really segregation and everything like that. It was really interesting.
Yeah, it's got some interesting topics and concepts and constructs on life and socializations and just everything. But I mean, visually it kind of has its own mood, and then even some of the special effects, just some of the way they did some of the things, like it was for the time, like it really was ahead of its time on a lot of different levels, that film. But like, I mean, I'd watched it for that segment, and I kind of felt kind of like, really, this is what all the hype was? And I say that, and it's like a bad film. It's just, it's so hyped up. So, I mean, in our pop culture, you know, in the film industry, it's very revved up.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't say I was like disappointed, but at the same time I was kind of like, oh, okay. I get it for the positive points. So yeah. But yeah, Bobby, definitely see it. Totally.
Oh, it's definitely going to be a movie I see. It's just
you need to see it before October 6th, 2017.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the other thing of it too, right? Is that because everyone reveals it or like has this thought of it as being this classic, it's the idea of what if I see it and I don't like it, and then it's like, am I that outlier of the people that love a classic movie, and there's always that one person that's just like, oh, it didn't do anything for me. And you're just like, everybody's looking at that person as if they're from a different planet. Like, how could you possibly not like this? And you like all these other things. How can that not be something you don't like? So it's always that fear going into a movie that's a classic that everyone tends to like, and you be the one that doesn't see it the same way everyone else does.
Hell, we were just talking about that earlier with Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation,
you know? Like, I just feel like I might have missed the boat when it came to like seeing that at the proper age to really think that this is a classic.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It pays to be young.
And then we were given a Christmas gift, I guess you could say, with the first trailer for Alien Covenant.
I was like, Merry Christmas, good morning. Alien Covenant.
It was funny. I woke up Christmas morning, and I get up, and I go put on, like, the Christmas music in the living room, and I set up the Marvel fireplace on the TV that they threw up on YouTube, and then, getting ready to go get the kids up, which, by the way, of course, we're already awake, just waiting in their rooms, basically. But before I got to that, I think when I went on YouTube to find the stupid Marvel fireplace that I put on, I saw on YouTube, like, Alien Covenant trailer. I'm like, really? This just dropped? Like, in the middle of the night? What the fuck? So I go and watch it. It's like one of the first things I do on Christmas morning, and it's so not like the thing to watch on Christmas morning.
And not just a trailer, but it was a Red Band trailer too. So it was just like overtly violent.
Oh yeah. I felt like I was doing something wrong by watching it.
Felt a little dirty, felt a little naughty.
Yeah, like, when I was about to go get my kids so they could come out and open their Christmas presents, and I'm watching this. I'm like,
watch Aliens with Daddy.
Yeah. But our first look at Alien Covenant. I'll say first, actually, I'm a fan of the Alien movies, and when it comes to Prometheus, I see it both ways. I enjoyed Prometheus, and I would put myself in the Prometheus fan club, I guess. But I totally understand the negative opinions on that movie completely. It's one of those movies that it falls in that weird zone of a movie that and critically, I am very critical of it, and I have major issues with it, but then I can't help but enjoy it because it is a very well-made movie, and I don't know, I just dig that world. But yeah, I don't know, it's a weird one where in one hand I can go, this isn't a very good film, but I kind of like it, So I've been looking forward to see I've been looking forward to see where this goes from here. And I mean, hey, this trailer, it looks like an Alien movie, and it looks good. If you ask me, I'm digging it. So I look forward to seeing more. I look forward to seeing the movie. But yeah, Alien Covenant. It looks rough.
Yeah, it looks like they're kind of really going back to the very first Alien.
Yeah,
with the suspense and the violence and the killing and just like a monster hunting type of thing. So it looks very much like they're just taking it back and be like, okay, they wanted to see the alien, let's give them the alien type of thing.
Yeah. Michelle, you just watched it a little while ago?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. I enjoyed the original Alien films and Prometheus for all its ups and downs and faults. I'm definitely more in the fan club of it. But yeah, like you, like I totally see why people don't like that film, and I get it completely. But yeah, watching this trailer, yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a love song to Alien,
right? Like for sure.
Like there's a lot of little themes you can pick up really quick, and you're like, oh hey, oh yeah, that. Like even like the way they're like talking to each other, like the way that they are speaking with each other was kind of like that feeling almost. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that trailer was brutal. I was not prepared for that. I was like, oh wow, this is really intense. But yeah, no, it looks good.
So we're on in the morning on Christmas Day.
I'm looking forward to it.
Bobby?
I'm kind of torn on the trailer, honestly, because while I freely admit that this looks like it's going to be a really kick-ass Alien movie, I wanted more to see of what happens in Prometheus. And I don't know if they've just sort of discarded that and left it behind, or if it's not the focus in this one. And so I am really curious about that storyline, just because it left off in a place where the whole idea behind Prometheus was these people that came and created life for Earth, and that story interests me. I've seen alien movies before within the series, and what more can you tell other than you're going to have more aliens running around killing people? I'm perfectly fine with that. I'll see that and love it. But the story that I really wanted to know more about was the one that they were presenting us with in Prometheus. So as this trailer is, and in terms of being a good alien movie, this looks like it'll be awesome. But I wish I could have seen a Prometheus 2 as opposed to another Alien. And if I had to have an alien movie that I wanted to see, it would have been the one with Sigourney Weaver that whatchamacallit was working on with from Chap.
Neil Blomkamp?
Yeah, Neil Blomkamp. Yeah. So that's kind of how I feel. I mean, I am not discrediting this in any sort of way, because I think it's going to be great. But it just makes me a little sad and disappointed that there was no Prometheus 2, because I did enjoy Prometheus as well.
No, I mean, I can't remember. I feel like Ridley Scott has said, like, this, he doesn't really kind of consider this a Prometheus sequel, and almost kind of hinted that there could still be one, like a movie, I guess, that would fall in between Prometheus and this movie kind of thing. I don't know. I'd have to look up that quote. I'm just right off the top of my head. I feel like I read that somewhere, but don't quote me on that. I don't know. Yasha, what'd you think?
I thought it looked good. You know, I thought it looked just as kind of like an alien movie. I'm with you, Bobby. I guess, you know, I could go for like a Prometheus sequel. You know, maybe they're going to address it in this trailer. I'm hopeful. I'd like to watch the trailer again. I've only watched it once, just because it was Christmas morning and I couldn't just sit there and dissect it over and over again.
Right. You know,
but I did enjoy it. I love some of the throwback scenes that they very much touched on from the very first Alien, and some of the scenes with them getting attacked. And yeah, it looks like an alien movie. You know, it looks like it could be a really gruesome, violent alien movie. So, yay! I mean, I'm all in. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it, is all I can say.
Cool. And yeah, that's coming up sooner than I realized. I didn't even realize it was coming out this May 19th.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's probably why we got the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then one last thing before we go on. I know, Michelle, you had something you wanted to bring up.
I do. It's kind of, it's definitely, it's film culture related. It's not like it's like, you know, what's happening now in film. It's really more, I don't know. It's interesting to me. So this month, the National Film Industry added its annual 25 film. Well, I shouldn't say annual, but yeah, they added 25 films into the National Film Industry. And Registry. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's by the Library of Congress. And just to kind of give you like kind of quick thing, like when Library of Congress adds in these films to their collection, there's kind of a thing they can't be added. They have to be at least a decade old is the big one. And the film has to be deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically important. And by meaning of that, it's culturally, historically, aesthetically important kind of to film and to culture, or our civilization as a whole is what they're kind of looking at. And I am going to read all 25 of them, but I'll do it really quick. They're in alphabetical order, and I'll read the years off just so you can see the spectrum of which these films are pulled, because it's a wide range. There's going to be films you're going to be like, I've never heard of that. And there's films you're like, that's just now getting added to it. Like, it's shocking sometimes in a way, but you have to realize there's only, with these 25, that brings the catalog up to 700 films. That's it so far. So that's, I mean, if you think about the Library of Congress, 700 films is nothing. That's a drop of water in the collection that they have of everything. So I'll do it really quick. So The Atomic Cafe, 1982, Ball of Fire, 1941, The Beau Brummels of 1928, The Birds, 1963, Blackboard Jungle, 1955, Breakfast Club, 1985, Decline of Western Civilization, 1981, East of Eden, 1955, Funny Girl, 1968, Life of an American Fireman, 1903, The Lion King, 1994, Last Horizon, 1937, Musketeers of Pig Alley, 1912, Paris is Burning, 1990, Point Blank, 1967, The Princess Bride, 1987, Putney Swope, 1969,
Rushmore, 1998. Solomon Sir Jones Films, 1924 to 1928. Steamboat Bill Jr., 1928. Suzanne, 1982. Thelma and Louise, 1991. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, 1916. A Walk in the Sun, 1945. And Who Framed Roger Rabbit from 1988.
Cool.
Boom. So yeah,
I think I knew about 11 of those off the top of my head.
Right. Yeah, but bad. I mean, it's important. It's a preservation of our film history that we've created now. And yeah, I just think it's really cool. And I always look forward to kind of seeing these lists when they come out. And it's just nice to know that these will be preserved forever and ever, you know, for the face of the earth, or at least here in the U.S.
So, oh, that's cool. Very, very cool.
That's the nerdiness in me.
What?
I should have gone to film school. Damn.
But yeah, with that, anybody got anything else before we get out of here?
Nope, nothing else.
I'm good.
Yeah, like I said, we'll be recording our next episode on New Year's Day, so look out for that. And then, yeah, soon after that, hopefully we'll be doing our top 10 show. That should be coming up pretty soon. And as always, we'd love to hear back from everybody. We'd love to know what you thought of the show and everything we've talked about. You can email us at feedback@flickereffect.com. You can comment on our YouTube page or on iTunes. And yeah, you can also find links to our Facebook and Twitter accounts on our website. Just look over on the right-hand side of flickereffect.com. I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Yasha Wilson.
And I'm Michelle Curry.
Thanks for listening.